Hi and welcome back to Grade Guide. This revision video on the circulatory system is directed towards students completing the Junior Cycle Science exam as part of the Irish curriculum. In a previous video on the topic, we studied the blood, what it does, and what it's composed of, and the types of blood vessel that transport it around the body. In this Part 2 video, we'll be revising how to draw and label a diagram of the heart. We'll outline the path that blood takes as it flows through the heart into the body, and lastly, we'll investigate the factors that affect our heart rate. The heart is located in the upper left-hand side of the chest. It's an organ made from a special type of muscle called cardiac muscle. In biology, the word cardiac always refers to the heart. The heart's job is to pump blood out through arteries to the lungs and to the rest of the body. For your exams, you need to be able to recognise, draw and label a diagram of the heart. Pause the video and take the time to draw this diagram into your copybook. It's important to note that before we add any labels, the heart is split into two sides, left and right. The heart you see on screen belongs to a person who's facing you, so the left-hand side of their heart is on the right of the screen from where we're looking at it. Similarly, the right-hand side of their heart is on the left of the screen. The heart contains 4 chambers. At the top are the 2 atria, called the right atrium and the left atrium. The bottom 2 chambers are called the right ventricle and the left ventricle. There are also 4 blood vessels connected to the heart, 2 arteries and 2 veins. Connected to the right atrium is a vein called the vena cava. Entering the left atrium is the pulmonary vein. Leaving the top of the heart are the 2 arteries. The pulmonary artery leaves the right ventricle, while the aorta leaves the left ventricle. The heart contains 4 valves, which are very similar to the structures in our veins. They ensure that blood flows in one direction through the heart. Separating the right atrium and ventricle is the tricuspid valve, and separating the left atrium and ventricle is the bicuspid valve. A way to remember which side the tricuspid valve is on is that the letter R is in tricuspid and it's on the right-hand side of the heart. Semilunar valves are found in each artery leaving the heart. Finally, the dividing wall that separates the right and left side of the heart is called the septum. Also note that the outer wall of the left ventricle is much thicker than the right ventricle. The left ventricle needs this extra strength because it pumps blood a longer distance than the right ventricle does. So what way does blood flow through the heart? Remember that veins carry blood to the heart, so the vena cava brings blood back to the heart from the body. The blood it contains is low in oxygen and high in carbon dioxide. We signify this by using blue arrows. Blood from the vena cava moves through the right atrium, tricuspid valve, and the right ventricle pumps it out the pulmonary artery. Arteries carry blood away from the heart, and the word pulmonary always refers to the lungs. The pulmonary artery is unique because it's the only artery in the body that carries deoxygenated blood. Gas exchange in the lungs takes out carbon dioxide and adds oxygen to the blood. And this oxygen-rich blood comes back to the left atrium of the heart through the pulmonary vein. The pulmonary vein is special because it's the only vein in the body to carry oxygenated blood. We use red arrows to signify blood full of oxygen. This blood goes through the left atrium and bicuspid valve before the thick wall of the left ventricle contracts and pumps blood out the aorta to all parts of the body. We can see from the diagram that the right-hand side of the heart has deoxygenated blood, while the left-hand side has oxygenated blood. We'll go over this cycle once more, but look at what's happening on a larger scale. After respiration, carbon dioxide diffuses out of cells and into capillaries. Blood in these capillaries are drained back to the vena cava, which carries this deoxygenated blood to the heart. Passing through the right atrium, the right ventricle then pumps blood out the pulmonary artery to the lungs. Once in the lungs, carbon dioxide leaves the blood and lots of oxygen enters the blood. This oxygenated blood is brought towards the heart by the pulmonary vein. It passes through the left atrium before the left ventricle pumps blood out of the heart through the aorta. Arteries take blood all over the body, to the head, arms, stomach, liver, intestines, and legs, to name a few. Blood enters capillaries and gives off oxygen to body cells for respiration to take place once more. Carbon dioxide enters the blood again, and the cycle continues. We've mentioned that the beating of the heart is what pumps blood out of it through the pulmonary artery and the aorta. A heartbeat is the contraction or squeezing of the cardiac muscle, and it essentially squeezes blood out of the heart. The amount of times our heart beats in a minute is known as our heart rate. Heart rate varies from person to person, but an average healthy adult's heart beats 70 times per minute. This number generally increases or decreases depending on how healthy a person is. Let's look at things that can speed up heart rate or slow it down. Exercise causes your heart rate to go up, because your heart needs to beat more often to get more oxygen to your cells so that you can make more energy. Sickness and stress can also cause your heart rate to increase, while sleeping causes it to decrease as your cells don't need to produce as much energy when you're asleep. We can carry out an investigation as to how exercise affects your heart rate. To do this, we calculate our heart rate when we are resting, see how much it goes up after doing various exercise, and then time how long it takes to return to its resting rate. An easy way to calculate your heart rate is to find your pulse. A pulse is a wave of pressure in an artery caused by a heartbeat that cause the walls of the artery to expand. When you find your pulse, you can feel this expansion. So the amount of pulses per minute is the same as the amount of heartbeats per minute. Find a pulse by placing your index and middle fingers firmly on the underside of your wrist beneath your thumb. You can also find a pulse on the side of your neck, beneath your ear at the corner of your jawbone. Once you've found your pulse, set a timer for 1 minute and count the amount of pulses you feel in that minute. Take a note of the number. This number is your resting heart rate. Repeat this process twice more and then find the average of these 3 trials to ensure your results are reliable. Note all your results in a table like you can see on screen. Now do a vigorous exercise by running for 2 minutes, and immediately after you finish the exercise, find your pulse and count the beats per minute. Compile your results on a table like you can see here. It's clear to see that heart rate increased as exercise became more intense. This person's average resting heart rate was 72 beats per minute, and this shot up to 160 after vigorous exercise. Continue to count your pulse until it returns back to its resting rate. The quicker you return to your resting heart rate after exercise is an indication of how physically fit a person is. Well, that's it for the circulatory system topic. Revise over each of these 4 points to the topic in preparation for your exams, and use this list of keywords to test yourself on the topic. Thanks for watching this grade guide video. Make sure to take a look at our Part 1 Circulatory System video on the blood and blood vessels topic. If you found this video helpful, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Best of luck with your revision.